Mama told me when the thunder comes that a drunk donkey be coming on for me to listen to what he'd say. If I did song, it'd help me the stormy day. I can get the symbol where the man gets you serving, love and understand. I can get the symbol where the man you can catch him on the show with Tom and Dave. That's right.
Hey, good morning, everybody. What's cooking? Happy Friday, Kitron. What's up? I see you. Scott. M. Stephen says, drunk donkeys. Good morning. What's up, Leesburg? I saw North Carolina. It's 4 seasons in North Carolina. You guys are lucky. There's our camera. Hey, look. I'll let the countdown run out. And I will not forget the countdown. I promise. So, yeah, TGIF, everybody. What's up? We're going to be trying something new here in a little bit. We got Dylan Hubbard from Hubbard's Marina, our buddy down there that we rode out Ada with. And he's kind of a big dog here in the local Tampa Bay area. So we're going to have some fun chatting with him. In about 10 or 15 minutes or so, we're going to talk a little weather. But looks like we're good on YouTube. Good morning, Eric from Fort Myers. Susan from South Carolina, another South Carolinian. I had to dig out the hard stuff today, man. We went big storm. And you know they make a Bay Brew beer. I don't know if I told you this story, but a couple weeks ago, I yanked one out of the garage fridge. The can looks just like this. I should have known when I popped the top it wasn't coffee. Took a sip and it was beer. I was definitely shocked. It's like when you first sip on a paper straw and you have that first reaction of, oh my God, what's up, Gunner? Hey, Katie Haley. Hey, Shelly, our girl Shelly, what's up? Big Storm Brewery Hot. Yeah, what's up, Mary Skinner? So we got the doggy. What's up, Tina from Spring Hill? Fingers crossed. So we got a good weekend ahead. We got a little nasty weather rolling in the middle of the U.S. We're going to talk about Thanksgiving forecast mainly. All right. Going to the softball tournament with Emily today. No, Hubbard. I actually felt guilty drinking at 8 in the morning. I only do that at NASCAR races, right, Louie? All right, well, so let's say goodbye to Louie. Let me flip over the old camera here. Louie's the man. So this is a new radar. They changed our radar links, by the way. It's kind of a bummer. I'm trying to find a better one. It's the same radar. If you go to my site here, all the radar maps are now defaulted. But it's fine. Hey, we give them credit. Channel 7, NBC. So it kind of defaults. Same map. You can save your locations and all that good stuff. So it's still there. I had a few people. Oh, I forgot the timer. I knew I would. Damn it. Shelly just messaged me too. Hey, what's up, Telford? So yeah, all right. So let's put this map on. Let's do a shout out to our ABC Fine Wine and Spirits. Obviously, it is Thanksgiving time, and oh, by the way, they do have something cool there. So here's Hunter. Let's say Hunter real quick. Hunter is the man, the little man. You can buy Hurricane Hunter now. It's expanding northward to Tallahassee. What's up, Renee from Pensacola? I forgot the countdown. Hey, Ginger. So big thanks to ABC. They got a special until the end of the month. 10 more days. You can get $5 off delivery by typing Mike 2020. And that's a great deal, same day delivery. So if you have a crappy day at work, you can order online. Great price. And get it. And Hunter's snoring. plenty of hurricane. And our local Apps and Taps has now got Hunter on tap. So we're gonna be talking to Dylan here in a minute. He's got an amazing website, so I left it up there. We got turtles. So let's talk a little bit about weather real quick, and then we're gonna jump into the Zoom with Dylan, and we're gonna talk about weather and maybe a little bit of history of Johns Pass. My mom was curious about that. She's a native Floridian and remembers the history of Johns Pass a little bit. So, all right. So here's a scoop in a nutshell. Let's look at short range radar. So really, there's nothing on the map, which is great. There are little stray showers rolling in. You know, we got this general high pressure going across us right now. So we might have an occasional shower rolling in on the East Coast. Still windy over there, but the next 24 hours are pretty dry. I put the radar map up till Sunday, and it's pretty dry. We got a little development system here, middle U.S. We got to watch for the end of the week, but all in all, we got a pretty good day. This is radar through tomorrow morning, and there's a couple stray showers maybe popping in off of the Atlantic, normal here and there little systems, but nothing organized. That's good news. Tropics, we got this little spot. It's an old front. Our front's here right now. A little bit of that energy might get wrapped up. We've been talking about this for a lot of days now, and maybe just some rainmaker for Bermuda. It's at 20%, so no biggie, nothing to worry about. A little bit of rain. Actually had some fans from Bermuda say they were excited about it. So a little bit of rain. So there you go. There's that. That's an old front. You can kind of see it looking at kind of map right here. Here it is. This is an old front. This is how. Sometimes we get tropics brewing even down here, but this one's likely going to form somewhere here. Old front, going to get pulled up. Now, next week we got a big front coming down, and this might be the talk of next week. So let's go into that real quick. I've been posting a lot about it. But next week, all right, so next week we got a low digging down here, and this is something to watch. We got the chance for maybe some storms to worry about, kind of like a springtime. This is Wednesday morning next week. You can start to see it. We got a low pressure, and we're going to start getting this flow pumping up from the Gulf. And we got some signs that we could have some possible storms to watch, and that might end up being kind of a story you're going to start hearing about. So that's here. Let me show you. Let me zoom in a little better here. Right here, about I don't know. This is Wednesday night. All right, so here we go. So there's our low digging down. This is a typical springtime storm setup, and it could reach its way. I know this map isn't the best, but I'm looking at vorticity and some stuff. But we basically. Not so much Florida. Maybe right here is where we're watching for Thanksgiving morning. So that's something to think about, especially traveling on Wednesday. Let me see if I can find a better map. Let's just go back to the Old Faithful here. This one's let me close out some windows. But here we go. So this is Old Faithful. But here we go. There's low. This is Thursday morning. This is rain. So Thursday morning we could start to see moisture pumping in. A lot of instability ahead of this low digging down. We get these big dips in the jet stream, and sometimes they can produce storms. So Wednesday, Thursday, watching Upper Gulf, and maybe Thursday, Thanksgiving, we might have a little rain here across the south. Looks like Florida misses out as these typically do. These lows end up pulling this way, and the front flattens out, leaving the peninsula behind. So. Just kind of watching that setup for next week. Potential storms brewing middle U.S. into Thanksgiving. There's a few different maps we can look at, but overall, the pattern is still there. Anytime you get a big dip in the jet stream, this is 500 millibar. You can start to see the instability pulling up. So that's kind of what's up on the horizon. As far as the rest of today goes, the weekend is good, which is great. No big weather forecast by the Storm Prediction Center. We got day 2, normal rains pumping in off of Florida, no storms. Day 3, no storms. The wind map kind of shows what's happening here too. You can see it. Still got these Atlantic winds blowing in. Here's our old front down here. This is the old front. This is what's going to eventually get pulled up, possibly try to develop as another front comes down midweek. So that pattern seems very possible. We might get a subtropical system out of this little guy, but that's it. So yeah, I don't know. Carl, Panhandle is not Florida. Did I say that? I said the peninsula. Peninsula. Next week's front. You caught me. First time this year. This does not exist. Or Mississippi. That's the inside joke. I learned last year everybody forgets about Mississippi. So I made a point to go to Mississippi this year. And I went to the Panhandle this year. The most excluded parts in tropics. Thanks, Karen. That's an inside joke, by the way. Michael Sumner, yes, it's been a heck of a season. All right, I'll read a few comments, and then we're going to pop over and try the Zoom thing. This ought to be interesting. First time. I should have saved Dylan for, well, he's kind of in the news right now anyways. Maybe everybody go down there and check out Dolphins. I'm going to leave a Dolphin video on here while we look at the chat, then we're going to pop in Dylan. I promise. About 5 more minutes. So this is a video off of their website. If you want to know what it's like chasing dolphins, this is it. So Caribbean looks fine, Ben. A little bit of rain down that way. The other invests never materialized. Just rains for Central America. So yeah, gobble gobble. Thanksgiving next week. Can you believe it? Lower Alabama. James. Hey Julie, good morning. So these are dolphins. This is on Hubbard's site. That's pretty cool, man. That is like, that's on my bucket list, is to have a dolphin on the waves of my boat. Hey AJ, you know I love you. Thanks Cheryl. Yep. Sorry about my rant last night too, by the way. I took offense because I'm very critical of what I do and very obsessively addicted to providing weather, and I believe that I needed to say that. So that's all about that. So all right, so let's try this Zoom thing out, and then this is going to be interesting. So let me try this. Let me turn off this is my first attempt here. We're going to see how successful we can be. Let me open it up. Now I got a crappy camera, so I put a second camera up because I didn't want to be looking at this camera. So what I'm going to do is turn off this camera, and that way we don't have two cameras. And let me fix my box up here so it looks kind of neato. All right, so there we go. All right, so let's see. We'll admit him. Let's see if it works. Listen, let's see Dylan. You're the man, the first ever. Listen, there he is. It takes a second for the audio to work. Let me unmute him here now. Nope, you should be good. All right, man.
What's going on?
Oh my God, I hear you. Look at the wood. You got wood.
Yeah, wood background.
Oh my God.
It's a little windy in here, so the wood's going to be moving a little bit.
I'll have to show you a picture, man. Speaking of wood. So I got my first kegerator, and I bought some wood wallpaper, and you can kind of see it. Look, it's very redneckish. There, see my wood?
Nice.
Fake wood.
Yep. Yeah,
So-
it's very redneckish. I guess it just runs in our genes.
Yeah. So anyway, so this is Dylan Hubbard. He just did the Fox fishing report, right?
Yep. 8:15 every Friday.
Every Friday, you can catch him on Fox 13. Keeping up a tradition. I grew up here in Florida, and I freaked out at your store the other day because I saw a quote that if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too busy. Now that was obviously, I didn't know it was your grandfather, huh?
Yeah. My grandfather used to be doing the Fox 13. Well, back then it wasn't Fox 13, but he did fishing reports there for years and years, and popularized that saying. I've even seen it before on the can of Grizzly Wintergreen. I popped open the can of dip, and underneath the lid was, "If you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too busy."
Oh my God.
So that was pretty surreal.
Did you trademark it?
Nope.
Nah.
My grandfather was a great businessman, but back then, branding and trademarking wasn't a thing. I mean, Hubbard's Marina is the name of our company, and we are not a marina. We do fishing and dolphin tours and island trips. So branding wasn't a thing in the 20s when the business started.
20s,
but
wow.
It is what it is.
Yeah, so we have a lot of fans and weather folks that live in the Pinellas County, and my mom was actually excited. She wanted to know the history of Johns Pass. So I didn't even think about it, but my 80-year-old mom wants to know, how did Johns Pass even form?
Well, Johns Pass actually, ironically, was created by a hurricane in 1848. Yep. So 1848, a hurricane came through, created the pass, and a man named Jean Levesque actually discovered the pass first. He was rumored to be a pirate.
Hubbard's Marina inside Johns Pass.
A lot of people think he was a pirate. Some people think he was a turtle fisherman. But long story short, he was the first person to find it and kind of claim it. So that's where John's Pass came from his name.
Wow.
Jean Levesque. So,
yeah. I've always wondered the amount of current that goes through those inlets. I mean, I wonder what it was like before that. Like, these barrier islands, and where the water now that flows, where did it flow before, I wonder?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something to think about. I think a lot of the barrier islands weren't there previously. I have a photo hanging in my house back in, I believe it was 1930s or something. They took it with a hot air balloon and aerial photo, basically survey of Pinellas County. And the barrier islands do not look anything like they do today. So I think over time, with the hardening of our coastline, building seawalls and building hotels on the beach, the structure changed and the inlets changed. But storms, they open up passes. I mean, Irma created a brand new pass in Shell Key. They call it Irma Pass, and that was never there previously. So these storms come through and they really change a lot. Charlie opened up a new pass. So there's a lot of coastline along the west coast of Florida that has been created by hurricanes.
Yeah, I remember Three Rooker Island used to have a little creek going through it, and it would. Yeah. And now it's like a freaking mammoth hole. It's like you can't even recognize the two islands. There's two islands.
Yeah.
So let's talk about. All right, so you do. All right, so I'm curious on weather for you. Like, obviously, you guys charter boats out, and you got boats that go deep sea fishing, and how important is weather? Like, I mean, how much do you watch weather? Because you guys got to worry about waves and wind and storms and afternoon. I mean, is it a big part of your world?
Well, my father always jokingly said we're amateur weathermen, and my grandfather was the same way. And there's a lot of weather that goes into taking people out in boats. So that's how I found your page originally, is just cruising for different weather links and information, and happened upon this website that had it all. So that's originally how I became a fan. Plus, with the storms, being able to listen and get kind of some more inside information and finding out how to use the models. I can't tell you how many times I pause your videos and go back and rewatch your videos to see where you clicked, to try to pick up on some of the techniques you use to look at the models and analyze the models, because the big trends are huge for us. For example, looking into next week with that weather coming down, if I can see a model and see, all right, I know this day is going to be bad, I can tell my staff to try to gear guests to these days that I know are going to be better.
Yeah.
And we can change our schedule to go around the weather, because we guarantee an excellent client experience with superior guest service, but we can't control the weather. So you just got to work with it and pay close attention to it. And that's why your website's linked on our weather links page, because we use it a lot.
Yeah, thanks. I know we shared a lot of fun with Ada. Like you said, it wasn't the ideal. wasn't fun for you, but I still can't get over Pinellas County and Upper Tampa Bay, the amount of the surge in the homes. I don't think it's even being reported, but I got friends that have had homes, and you mentioned you knew somebody that had to evacuate. So having John's Pass and Hubbard's Marina, this last storm, Ada, you said was the worst you think you can remember, huh, with the surge?
Yeah, I mean, in my lifetime, Irma definitely brought us more wind, but this storm brought us more surge. My father and I were talking after the storm, and I think Elena was the last storm that really brought that much surge to our area. And Elena was also a tropical storm that just kind of died out and stalled on top of us and rained and rained and rained and caused a lot of flooding. But I think that was back in the late 70s, early 80s. It was before my time, so I don't recall that one. But
I know I asked you your age, and I forget that I'm in my 40s now, and I think I act it sometimes. And apparently this week I put a couple of videos on around the fire pit that probably shouldn't have been posted, but I get reminded a lot that I'm not in my 20s. But I remember Elena, that was 85, I think. But you know, sharing that experience with you and seeing how fast things can change. You know, like we were watching the parking lot come up, and we were seeing cars stranded, and I mean, it happens quick. And they were doing door-to-door rescues, you know, Indian Rocks area. It was amazing. And then I came home to Oldsmar, and residents are walking around that had flooded homes. So we could learn a lot from our area, you know, what we got to worry about.
And also just that storm was a great, in my opinion, a learning experience for a lot of people, because as you always say, you can't say it's just a tropical storm. That was just a tropical storm that brought 5 feet of water, 5 feet of surge to our area, and also how quickly it changed. I mean, watching your updates Sunday previous to that storm, I was getting nervous, and Sunday night we were really scrambling to really go into full hurricane prep mode. Then Monday morning rolls around and the tracks shifted and we all relaxed and didn't do as much prep. And then Tuesday morning everything was still relaxed, and all of a sudden the night before it started shifting back and it looked ugly, and we had to scramble. We literally prepped for that storm Wednesday morning in the pouring rain, just last minute trying to get everything tightened up and together, and it didn't give us a lot of notice, and it was bad for just a tropical storm.
Yeah, I remember. So I was driving around doing my live thing, which is my new thing. Not everybody's a fan, but I saw you in your truck, and you kind of like, you were kind of giving me the feeling like, it doesn't look like it's going to be that bad. And I'm like, man, I don't know. And you're like, really? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I don't know, high tide. I'm like, you know, we were like kind of panicking together, like, you know, this thing could possibly be more than they anticipated. And we saw a lot of businesses along Johns Pass that had water in it that just didn't prepare, or sandbags. I don't think people knew it. Otherwise, they would have had sandbags, right? I mean,
yeah. Even during the day Wednesday when we were preparing for the storm, I mean, we have 12 boats, we have beach cabanas, we have kayaks, we have a lot of locations. We have 4 locations we got to tighten down. So when we started preparing for the storm, I'm looking at the updates, looking at the models, watching your updates. I'm like, this thing's kind of falling apart. And then all of a sudden through the day, the convection kind of stopped. So I was like, maybe this isn't as bad, but we still kept grinding and really, really over prepared. And I was, at the end of it, I was sitting there drinking a beer with the group, celebrating that we were done, and finally drying out from all the rain that we had gotten. Sitting there thinking, hey man, maybe it might not be that bad. And that's when I saw you, and I was like, hey, the convection's kind of dying out. I don't think we're going to get it that good. And we all saw it. And that night was a surreal night, to say the least.
Oh my God. Yeah, it was intense. I'm telling you, it was.
You say you forget that you're not in your 20s. You looked like a 15-year-old running up and down the boardwalk. I mean, Mike, you couldn't peel Mike off the jetty. He was filming this and filming that and looking at the radar. It was impressive to see the passion firsthand. I was very impressed. And for me, I was a huge fan, always have been a huge fan, and it was cool meeting you. But it was a weird circumstance because I'm watching my business get torn apart over here. But then, there's Mike. Yeah. It was a weird night.
We so you had hurricane doors on, and you had all this spray insulation, and I'm thinking there's no way the water is going to be this high, you know. And we were sitting there one time looking at it, and it was about a foot or two up on that. And I'm like, oh, man, just like a couple hours ago, we were kind of laughing like it's not going to be up this high. And then the craziest was our buddy, another fan, Dale, was with us. But we were standing on the dock, remember? And a wave came and lifted all of us up at least 2 foot. It had to be. I mean, you're running like, I mean.
I jumped. I left you guys. I turned around. And
it was scary. It was scary. And you had you had a cooler there floating around, and it turned out very eventful. That's for sure. But I mean, I was impressed the next day you guys were back, and people are asking. Let's talk about your Save the Past, because there's a lot of people. I guess Shelly said that said they saw it on the news and they don't even know what that is. So go ahead, man. What's going on down there?
So a big thing that we're facing inside Johns Pass and really in the community is this sand intrusion problem. It started back in the mid to late 90s. Sand started coming around the jetty. Basically, our north jetty has been overtaken with sand, and our beach groins along Madeira Beach have been covered up. And so a natural flow of sand occurs from north to south along the beach. And when wave action comes, when storms come, it disturbs that beach sand and brings more sand from north to south. So basically, sand's coming down the beach and eddying into Johns Pass and depositing there in front of the boardwalk. So that sand has continued to build up, and with the construction of the newest bridge, ended in 2010, the sand problem really got bad. Mm-hmm. And on that Save Johns Pass tab, Mike, on the website, if you click that tab, and then you scroll down, there's a little historical time-lapse aerial shot that you can see the sand kind of build up. And it got bad, and after 2010, and now we're to the point where we have so much sand built up across state FDOT land that it's really unmanageable, and it's creating a huge safety concern, because we have people that go out there and think it's just a beach, and they step off the edge and get swept out to sea. And then the manatees and dolphins used to use that seawall as a migration pattern in and out of the channel, and now they're blocked with sand and forced to go into the middle of the channel. So it's really causing a multitude of issues. And what everybody always says is, why can't you just dredge it? Well, if you look at that photo there where your mouse is below that time lapse, only about maybe a quarter of that sand is on private property where we could actually physically dredge. And we did in 2017. We spent almost $200,000 to dredge that out. It took 8 months, and it filled right back in, and the beach was back. So dredging our area doesn't work. It's like going down to the beach with your kids, Mike, and the girls dig a big hole by the edge of the water. What happens? The first wave comes, the hole fills with sand. Yeah. And that's what happens if you dredge only a portion of that sand. We got to work with the state, FDOT, Army Corps, the county, and dredge that whole sand bank buildup. And now I had a meeting with Sierra Club. I've been talking to some environmental groups, and hopefully we're going to get some momentum going that way. So we talked to our state representatives. We've talked to Rick Scott, Rubio, Christ, and having a lot of meetings with some powerful people that will hopefully help us save Johns Pass. The biggest issue is just the safety concern. But it also blocks drainage. I mean, you were down there that next day, Mike. You saw how the county had to come out there with huge bulldozers and a team of trucks to try to clear those drains, right? Because the sand fills up the stormwater drains. So it's such a complex issue that involves so many jurisdictions, and it's been ignored for almost 30 years. So it's to a breaking point now. We're going to keep trying to beat the pavement. Well,
2006, it doesn't even look like it was anything there. So this is kind of happened quick, huh?
Very quick, yeah. So when I was young, about 8 years old, where that sand is now, there's some poles, and we used to have a dock there, and my grandfather used to keep a 100-foot boat there that's now dry land. And when I was young, I used to jump off the boardwalk into deep water. Now it's all dry land. And I'm only 29 years old. So I'm talking 15 to 11 years ago. It was deep water there, and now it's sand. So it's definitely happened at an alarming rate. And a lot of people are saying just dredge it, or it's natural. This isn't natural. This happened at an exponential rate. It's definitely exacerbated by the man-made issues. The bridge construction left a lot of the old bridge there that allowed sand to settle. The beach groins have been ignored. The jetty has been ignored. Luckily, Madeira Beach and the mayor's behind us. Their city of Madeira Beach has been working really hard alongside us, the property owner, our state reps, even FDOT is starting to get involved. So we're gaining momentum, but the more people and eyes on this, the better.
Yeah, it'll happen.
The more people that sign that petition, the better.
No, I think public trials, and once you get the word out, it's good. And you mentioned it. I mean, the coolest thing would be transient docks. You got a Hooters right above you and a Bubba Gump. So if you've never been to John's Pass, now we got people asking about your business too, so you can pump that. I mean, you guys do fishing, right? I mean, daily long fishing trips, dolphin trips, like cruises. I mean, you guys got a lot of stuff there, right? I mean, what's your most popular fishing or boat trip?
Our most popular fishing trip would probably be either our 5-hour half day, which is fun for the whole family, or a 39-hour trip where people travel from all over the country and even the world to go take that trip. But we have a free beer and wine sunset cruise.
Yeah, I just clicked on that. It's only $20.
Yeah, or it's $26.50.
Well, I round down to make it sound better. That's how I roll home. It's like I want to buy a new truck. I tell Julie, it's only $20,000, but it's like $29,999. But maybe you got, that looks like a fun deal because I boat in the intercoastal and our area is so beautiful. And I've seen your boats around. I've honked at them.
Yeah, we do a little bit of everything on the water, and I kind of picture us as concierge of the water. So if you're coming into the area, if you live in the area, you can call us. If we don't do it ourselves, we have a friend that does it locally that we can link you up with. Anything from gator hunting to bow fishing to fly fishing to offshore deep sea fishing. And right on our website, you can chat with us there. You can send us a text message to our office phone number. We'll set you up with a great way to get some fun in the sun and spend some time on the water, because it's a great thing that we have here in the beautiful state of Florida and really along the whole Gulf Coast and South Atlantic coast. I mean, there's a lot of places like ours along the northern Gulf Coast. In North Carolina, I've been to places like this, but we're unique in the fact that we're family owned and operated. We've been around for 4 generations, nearly 100 years, and we do a little bit of everything. And we guarantee that excellent client experience with superior.
And they sell beer in the gift shop.
Yes, we sell beer, and we give beer away to Mike when he's chasing Ada.
I had one beer. It was the best beer of my life, let me tell you.
It was. We deserved it after that.
Yeah,
once the wind finally calmed down, I needed it. My nerves were fried.
Yeah, well, we when we left you, we had to wait for the water to go down, and luckily I have a big truck like you do. But it was high, and then when we headed north, it was like a new adventure. You know, seeing so many water rescues going on. It was shocking. You know, we helped Pinellas County Sheriff get his boat off, and he had to back up, and they were going door to door. I think, is it Reddington Beach? Is that the name? Reddington? Yeah. They had mandatory evacuation. They were knocking on doors. I talked to a kid our age that the mom and dad were being rescued out of their home. I just don't, I counted 24 cars, I think we counted, that were stranded. And I was on the Drew Grabo show that day, and I'm like, I don't think people realize what's going on. They're just driving full speed into this stuff and flooding their cars out, so that was
something that I noticed, because I left maybe, 30, 45 minutes ahead of you, and that water was incredibly high. And I mean, I've got 40-inch tires and a 6-inch lift on an F-250. There was water up to the bottom of my door. It was sketchy. And I almost considered staying at the marina, but I wanted to get home to my house and my son and my wife, who we had some damage at the house. So I didn't want to stay out all night chasing storms, but I wish I could have gotten away with that because it was crazy driving down Madeira Beach. I have some friends that live in Madeira Beach that lost their car, lost almost all their furniture along almost all of the Gulf beaches from Madeira Beach to Indian Rocks. A lot of people got taken by surprise and didn't have sandbags and lost a lot of stuff. Even Sunset Beach. I mean, our area really got hammered. There was a lot of damage along Pinellas County's west coast.
Yeah, well, I put the video on now, and that was definitely crazy for sure. But yeah. So Shelly's got your petition on our chat, which is great. I'm going to read some chat here. Dale's on here. Dale Keinberg was in our little thing. So what does your wife think about you now being a storm chaser? Was she worried that night?
Yes.
You said you got in trouble.
Like I said, Mike, I'm just glad you were there, because you gave me an excuse. I wouldn't have been able to leave the house if it wasn't for you being there. And I'm glad I was there, because I didn't think it was going to be quite that bad. And if that water started going up like that and I was sitting at my house watching on the security cameras, I would have been freaking out.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I was there. I'm glad it all worked out. And
well, the funny story too, the actual owner you said of the marina or the whole Johns Pass was watching our live broadcast, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm watching this guy Mike on the internet, and I saw videos on the Weather Channel, and I'm sitting there with you on the next day, right?" I'm like, yeah, that was me." He's like, "Oh man, thanks so much,"
yeah, that was hilarious.
Yeah, so that was, to think of the impacts that we have. But so like, all right, so let's talk about over the years, like with I guess Irma. We had Irma, Hurricane Hermine. Do you think the biggest question I always get is, do you think like we're getting more storms, stronger storms? Do you believe in climate change? I mean, I get that all the time. Do you see any changes in the weather living here in Pinellas your whole life? Do you think things are like normal or afternoon thunderstorms? I mean, that's, people always talk about, my opinion, I guess, and I don't really have one. I remember growing up in Florida and seeing thunderstorms every day, it seemed like,
Yeah.
I don't know if storms are getting any stronger or not, but I guess, do you notice any changes in weather since you've been on the water now for so many years down there?
Well, your first question was way too political for me to answer. But yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I think everything's cyclical. And I think we have really bad storm years, and then we have years that are not bad. And when it comes to fishing, storms are a really good thing. It stinks that it has to cause so much damage, and somewhere in the Gulf has to get it. But when a big storm like a Cat 3, Cat 4, Cat 5 goes through the Gulf, it does a lot of great things for the Gulf of Mexico. It turns over that water, and it actually spreads out the year 0 and year 1 fish. So all that plankton out there, all those snapper and grouper and pelagic suspended phytoplankton that turn into the big fish and game fish that we all know and love, they have their biggest recruitment years following high storm years. So this year is tough because of all the damage and all the chasing that Mike had to do. But I know in a 3-4 years down the road, we're going to see a big spike in recruitment on things like red snapper and lane snapper and red grouper. So in my opinion, storms are negative for many reasons, but there's also positives to it. It's a cleansing. It's restarts the systems, gets fish moving around, and it actually changes the topography of the Gulf. A big storm can come over, and a big fishing ledge that I know and love can get totally covered up in sand, and then uncover a ledge that's a quarter mile away that wasn't there before. It was under the sand. So it moves things around, it shakes things up, and in my opinion, kind of refreshes the system. Some of the best fishing that I've ever experienced is always either right before a storm or a few days after a storm, once that water calms down and clears back up. So
yeah, you mentioned like the next day, some of my viewers were really shocked because you're talking about what you saw leaving the pass, freshwater organisms or whatnot. What was that you talked about that was pretty fascinating? You were seeing the freshwater leaving. You noticed the change in color of the water.
Yeah. So behind a big storm, whether it's a big cold front, tropical system, whatever, when we have a lot of rain, we have long bayou just up the coast, intercoastal from us. And so in the middle of the state, when Tampa gets a lot of rain, that rain rolls downhill, falls into the bayous, and then when we have a strong outgoing tide behind a lot of rain, we get a lot of brown water, almost river water. So if you go to the Hillsborough River and you're having a beer at Rick's on the River, you can see that brown, tannic, the Swanee, almost every river, St. John's River, they got that dark brown color. And normally in the past, we have this nice greenish blue water, and a lot of times it's very clear. But behind that rain, that tannic, freshwater, brackish water mixture gets pushed into the passes and even ends up into the Gulf. And it drags all that stuff out into the Gulf. And that's where we have a lot of problems with water quality because some of that stuff getting dragged out there might not necessarily belong in the Gulf. And that's why it's so important to make sure we don't have trash in the streets, and our sewers are all capped off, and we got filters on the drainage. But that's a whole nother live video to talk about.
Well, what
But
about? I mean, red tide. We didn't have red tide this year, right? But there for a couple of years, that was
Thankfully.
big in the news, right?
yeah, red tide is something that's totally naturally occurring. And it's
How does it affect you guys? Like, let's say business wise. I mean, what does it do with fish and fishing?
Yeah.
And
it's terrible for the estuaries, because the estuaries just totally get either killed off or burned up. And one of the things that people talked about was, how is red tide becoming worse? Is it happening more frequently? And I would say, in relation to red tide, yes, it is happening more frequently, and it is getting a little bit worse, but not that much, because we've had red tide since the 1800s. There's the Spanish explorers. There's old logs that they talked about. The Gulf is a sea of red and everything is dead. Nothing but death. Yeah, so there's actually records from the 1800s of red tide in the area. And when my grandfather was around in the late 60s, I think it was 67, we had such a bad red tide where they couldn't pull the boats off the dock. The engines were getting stalled out because they couldn't get water into the engine because there were so many dead fish in the past.
Man.
So yeah, so we've had bad red tides before, but in the last maybe 15, 20 years, we've had 2005, 2007, 2014, 2017, and then we had that bad one at the end there. So we've had a lot of bad red tides in the last 20 years, and I'm hoping that trend doesn't continue. But to me, it's kind of like your fire outside, Mike. You have a nice little smoldering fire, and then if you walk up after you've had a few Hurricane Hunter IPAs and pour some gasoline on that fire, it's going to explode. It's going to burn out of control, you know? And that's the same thing, in my opinion, we're doing with this red tide. Is we have this naturally occurring organism that's might do a good thing in the long term of the ecosystem by cleaning out and refreshing systems. But we're sitting there pouring lighter fluid on it by allowing sewage spills, by allowing pollution and all that kind of stuff. So that's my opinion on that.
well, it does. You know, everything's cyclical, like you said, and you know, we had a 1932 hurricane, I think, went through Tampa Bay or somewhere down there. So yeah, I mean, I think, like you said, I think nature just cycles, and we're in a strong storm cycle right now. And the red tide hopefully doesn't come back. The what, you know, it's funny, I got other meteorologists on the other coast that track great whites, right? What have you seen shark wise in Pinellas County?
Great whites.
We
have great whites in Pinellas County.
Really, you've seen them?
Yes. Me personally, I haven't seen them, but our boat, one of our captains hooked one a year and a half ago on a trip. A good buddy of mine who runs Go Fast Fishing Charters, Joe Masano, he actually has a world record for actually landing one of them. And that was only maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And my grandfather, there used to be a ton of them in the area. Back then in the 60s, 70s, 80s, the fishing regulations didn't really start until early 80s. And in the 60s and 70s, they unfortunately weren't in the same mindset that we are today. And there was a lot of shark fishermen in Madeira Beach, out of Johns Pass, out of Tampa Bay, and they got a lot of big great whites along the coast. I'm talking 14, 15, 16-foot sharks, 16-foot tiger sharks. There's a lot of jaws hanging around local shops in Madeira Beach from those sharks from back then. So we definitely have those big sharks. And what they do is they follow the bluefin tuna. So the bluefin tuna make a migration up from the northeast, and the big cow bluefin will actually travel down the east coast of the United States, go around the tip of Florida, and go up into the northern Gulf around Louisiana. And there's some sort of breeding area there, they think. And the great white sharks will follow that migration. So if you look at those tag sharks from O-Search, you can actually follow the pings of the great whites. And that's what they're doing, is they're following the bluefin tuna into the Gulf. There's a huge shark migration into the Gulf every year with the blackfins. And that's why there's so many shark bites along the east coast of Florida compared to the west coast, because that loop current gets really close to the coast. So all those sharks and all those black tips, great whites, whatever it is, are all in that loop.
Yeah, I was going
right
to ask you
there
about that.
along the
I'm
coast.
going to show the loop current. So we talk about that a lot with hurricanes. You know, in the Gulf Stream, which everybody learns growing up, you know, it's a natural flow of warm water, and you can. There's a kid that I've followed on Twitter that actually made a buoy, and he's tracking the Gulf, you know, the Gulf Stream, and but we get these
It
little
makes
loop
a
eddies.
big effect on our fisheries for sure.
That's what I was going to ask you, because they break off and you get these little spinners, you know, and I see them all over the Gulf. I mean, do you guys look at stuff like this? And what's funny is I'm looking at the currents right now. There's actually one going right into Tampa Bay, which and that's warm water. You know, that's these are measuring temperature and currents. So what does all this mean with you guys? Like, does it do anything? I mean,
Yeah, it plays a huge part in distributing fish and distributing plankton and nutrients, and definitely as far as, again, those small little plankton-sized babies that are floating out there in the Gulf of Mexico. If we have a really strong loop current that rips into the Gulf of Mexico, a lot of that recruitment, those new fish, can get actually taken out of the Gulf. So the current plays a huge part in our ecosystems. And the biggest things that we watch currents for is if we're pelagic fishing. Like if I'm going out there to go hunt for some wahoo or some sailfish or marlin, that's when you're doing a really long range trip. You're looking for those little spin-offs, those little upwellings, those eddies. So currents and thermoclines and chlorophyll are all three things that we're going to be looking for.
everybody's getting a biology lesson, by the way.
Yeah, I mean,
You-
fishing, a lot goes into it, man. There's a lot that goes into it for sure.
There's about
And
10
then-
words I've counted that I'd have to Wikipedia. That's crazy. I was going to ask you something too about so you got a channel you were telling me, right? You go live a lot. You kind of do what we do, right? You have fun on your Hubbard's Marina.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't say I do what you do. Yours is a lot more intellectual than mine. Mine is Sunday night at 8:30 p.m. We just do a live fishing show where we shoot the breeze and answer questions and talk about nearshore and offshore fishing. We show photos of what we've been catching. We talk about the weather for 5-10 minutes about the weather coming up and what days are best to go fishing and how the weather relates to fishing. And then we use your website the whole time while we do that.
So that's Sunday night. Sunday night, you said you do that?
Yeah, Sunday night at 8:30.
All right. And where can people find that?
Questions.
Is that on your Facebook, Hubbard's Marina?
Yep, the Hubbard's Marina Facebook and YouTube normally, but we're in timeout on YouTube.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah.
The YouTube police came out and got you.
Yeah.
So I'm showing my site here. What would be? I mean, what is your favorite? Like when you're daily looking at stuff, what is your most important map you ever look at as far as the winds?
The prog charts.
The what?
Prog charts are the things that I use the most on your website. So keep scrolling a little bit more, a little further down. It paused a little bit for me.
Would you call them the prog?
Yeah, it's the NOAA charts that show the trends. A little bit lower.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, these little guys.
Those guys.
The animated wave models. Do you ever use that one there?
No, I haven't looked at those really.
Yeah, this is a good one here because this one goes out in time, and you can zoom in on different areas. And this is wave forecast, but this is actually put out by NOAA.
Yeah, the NOAA sites are good for wave forecasts, but those are more to me kind of trends because NOAA is so global. I like looking at specific buoys. So we have those buoys floating out there, and you have the buoys linked on your site.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, buoy data.
Yeah, the buoy data is what we live and die by. When we're chasing tropics, it's live and die by the models. And in fishing weather, it's all about those buoys.
Wow.
And the buoys have, NOAA obviously shows the buoys. These are all favorited in my phone, those ones around us. But they also have things like Wind Finder and Windy, which you have linked on your site. But you can actually dial into those specific buoys, and they'll give you a forecast. Hour by hour forecast.
So winds, waves, obviously. I mean, you got. Yeah, I'm reading people talk about whales. Have we ever had any whales? And have you seen whales?
Yes. Yeah, there was actually I I think they called it a bowhead whale that beached itself on Madeira Beach, like
I think somebody brought that up
a year and a half, 2 years ago. And then its partner was actually cruising the beach outside the sandbar, kind of like almost crying for its buddy. It was really sad to see. And we have a couple different kinds of whales in the Gulf of Mexico. We do have orcas. I personally have never seen an orca, and I don't know anybody who has, but they claim that there's orcas out there.
And SeaWorld.
Right whales.
They have one at SeaWorld. SeaWorld has them.
Yeah.
If you want to go see them. And what about the story with orcas though, with the fins? That's always the most fascinating thing. Is the ones in captivity are the fins naturally limp, and then out in the wild they're straight up. So that's always kind of been a tidbit that is fascinating to me.
Yeah.
And then manatees. Let's talk about manatees, because we'll see. Manatees to me are the most incredible. They're the most gentlest, quietest whiskers. We've seen them come right up to us on the beach. You mentioned manatees, so you guys see them there quite a bit.
Quite often. This time of year, we stop seeing them as much. Spring and fall is the best time to get them in those transitional times. And we don't really have spring and fall here in Florida. But when I say spring and fall, I'm talking about those transitional times where that weather's shifting. Because this time of year, most of those manatees have migrated out of Tampa Bay. So we have a large local manatee population that will leave Tampa Bay and head north to the springs around Ocala, that area, because the springs are 72 degrees year round. And they can't live in Tampa Bay when it gets really, really cold in January and February. So a lot of them will leave, but now we have those power plants. So the power plants in Tampa Bay will hold some of those native manatees that have learned that they can hang out there. But most manatees will leave on their natural migration route.
It's amazing though that they can do. They know where to go.
Mm-hmm.
They follow the pattern. They pass that down to their young, and they find where to go. It's like natural instinct, I mean, a sea creature.
Imagine us trying to. I mean, that would be like equivocal of us walking from our area to Orlando without a phone or any GPS trying to find it. How do they do that?
Yeah, so I'm like dolphins here. So check out his site. It's Hubbard's Marina, and you can do dolphin tours. Dolphins are great. We got a lot of people checking your stuff out. That's pretty cool. Now you obviously are a beer drinker.
Oh yeah, whiskey. Mostly,
okay. So you're a drunk donkey, and and I guess most fishermen probably are too, right?
Yeah, that's basically what my live show is. It's an hour excuse for me to get a little bit drunk and talk about fishing, and that's what we do there. So that's why my show's a little different.
Yeah, well, again, I know I touched on it early, but Ernie Lee, that was so crazy. I'm glad to see them guys filming from you down there. The day after our storm chase, you had Channel 8 News there, you had Channel 13 there. That was pretty cool. So I hope the Save the Past thing works out and people spread it. And I see a lot of people in our chat spreading it, so that's good. But let's see, any more questions? What you got? Anything you want to add there? We never really kind of went off script. We just kind of rambled on. But anything you want to say to the weather world or Tampa Bay or?
No, I mean, we talked a lot about a little bit of everything. Only thing I want to add is I appreciate you letting me on your show, and it was awesome hanging out and chasing Ada. That was a night I won't soon forget with all that water.
No,
and that was the first time you saw a surge like that too. You said, right?
Yeah, and I look back, and I was looking at some of my other broadcasts, and it was the night before. I clipped it because, I was talking a lot about this surge, and we talked a lot about it, and we predicted it. And what was really fascinating to me is a low tide. When we saw low tide there about 2-3 o'clock, we were still getting huge waves off the Gulf, and I don't understand how that was possible. I filmed waves from Clearwater Beach that were massive, and we were sitting there thinking, we're like, well, this is low tide. We got a east wind with low tide. We should have been seeing the water going out, kind of like Irma, but yet the water was still there. So there was like something baffling me, and we're like, this is not going to be good, you know. And when I went back to Safety Harbor, I mean, where I launched my boat, the whole marina was underwater, and we had, like I said, there was so many homes in Oldsmar flooded because of Tampa Bay, you know, the water. So that was, it was, like I said, it was really an interesting night. What I was amazed too, your big boats, you guys are fighting that sand, right? And sometimes you actually have to use your props to get out, right? I mean, you said you got a 5-foot draft, and it gets close.
So the big boat drafts 6 feet, and we were actually behind Ada. We were stuck in the dock for about 2 days because that sand had moved around so much and deposited in front of the boat. So not only is it dry land behind the boat, but now in front of the boat we have a nice big old sandbar. So it's a constant challenge for sure. But we have to have people on those big boats at night because that's the way we make a living. That's the way we feed our family. So it's when you go down there, Mike, you and I were sitting there and a hurricane's on the way, and there was 15 people down there with us hiding on the boats in the engine rooms and standing by in case of emergency. So, and it's not hard to get people to do that, and that's what's so beautiful, I think, about our company is we're just all one big family, and we all work together to try to fight to stay alive. It's
been a crazy world. Somebody just reached out and said there's a name you might want to read, Jared. Somebody reached out to Florida Emergency Management, Jared Muskowitz, for funding through FEMA public assistance. I don't know if she knows somebody there, but that might help. But everybody's thanking us. That's cool, man. I have to go back and read the comments. But you got a lot of new fans.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, and I appreciate everybody's support and all the kind words. It was a pleasure, and I look forward to chasing another storm that's not battering my business.
I know you hit us up on a free trip months and months and months ago before we even knew each other. So we'll have to do a Facebook Live on the boat drinking some beer.
That sounds like a plan.
All right, man. All right, well, that was Dylan Hubbard. We're going to sign off. So thanks again, buddy. And hopefully this gets some views for you, man. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, you guys too. Thanks again, Mike.
All right. See you, buddy.
See you.
All right. Cool, man. So that didn't go too bad. He's a pretty cool dude. So, yeah, hopefully you guys learned a little bit. He taught a lot more about ocean biology than I'll ever know. That was crazy. But yeah, let's support him. He's a good fan of ours. He's a Facebook supporter. I didn't even know it was him. He's been in our Facebook supporter chat for a long time, and finally the name rang a bell, and there he is. So that was pretty cool. So we talked a lot about weather in the beginning, I promise, but that was pretty neat. So. All right, so any last minute questions? Yep, more about fisheries. Betty, yeah, thank you, Ashley. Thanks, Dylan. You guys are great. So the plan is, you know, in the wintertime, I got a lot of meteorologist friends. I have, the sky's the limit. So, you know, we're going to try to do more education for people. Have actual topics, and you know, we'll get better at it. But that was fun. We didn't have any glitches. I clicked on YouTube one time and the audio came up, so I had to figure out how to mute my YouTube as a default so I can play videos. That would be something cool. But Sabrina talking about ice this year. They are calling for a warmer winter with La Nina. The jet stream kind of shifts to the north. We get a little more wetter, warmer winter across the south in the east. Now, you'll get snow and we'll get ice, but like I said, a year ago I was chasing snow at Gatlinburg, and now, you know, we have actually the Weather Channel put out today. Well, we can just look at it, the same thing, but the amount of Thanksgiving morning temperatures are trending warm for most people. Let's look at the GFS. But it's going to be a warm Thanksgiving here on Thanksgiving. And, you know, that's just kind of the pattern that we're in right now with this La Nina pattern. So, you know, here's Thursday, just for example. Let's bring it up to, you know, midday Thursday, sometime around here. The yellows are 60s. So a big chunk are going to have high temperatures in the 60s all the way to Pennsylvania, parts of the Atlantic coast, parts of New York. So there's your Thanksgiving forecast. It's not going to be that cool. Turn my camera back on, Dylan. Dylan. He's watching. There we go. I'm back. You want to see my face, Betty? Oh, come on. I didn't even comb my hair, man. Hey, everybody loved the chat. That's good, man. So yeah, ice coming in, cold front. So again, the big story is the midweek front coming down. I think Corey talked about it. I saw Corey in here. So during the week, midweek here, let's rewind it. This is kind of, this is the time of year now that I start going into what's next, and the next weather to watch. And we do that all winter. It's nothing new. We talk about what's coming. But here's kind of, in a nutshell, midweek next week, what we can expect. So here's Thursday. This is Wednesday, Thursday. This is Wednesday night. So I'm still calling for a chance for some storms Wednesday night. We got a big dip in the jet stream, and all this area out in front on Wednesday going into Thursday, is going to be pushing. But there's that spring type jet flow that we could have some storms for Thanksgiving to watch. So that's kind of what's next. It's not really a cold front. It's going to flatten out and be kind of more of a wet and possible, rain for a lot of folks on Thanksgiving. So here you go. This is Thursday, and it's been showing up quite a bit. But here's your Thursday. So generally, there's our low here in this general area right here. We're going to be watching for rain possibly on Thursday. So anyway, hey, so you're welcome, Sue. I guess it went good. Brantley, I don't know, buddy. We're going to do more. So you don't know what you're going to get with Mike. You're going to get either a drunk donkey by the fire pit or a cool little interview. Here's the rain currently. I think we got little bitty baby showers. I don't know if they're making. I don't even know if these are making the coast or making. Well, we got a couple of them up here. So this is what we can expect pretty much the rest of the day for across the Atlantic. Maybe some showers rolling in, quickies, but they're moving pretty quick. That's that high pressure down there. So that's. Looks like it's trying to drizzle on the East Coast. All right, so we're gonna wrap it up. But I meant to show my. Hey, Telford, how you doing, man? So I meant to show this at the beginning. I forgot. Darn it. All right, so a lady named Mary Skinner. I just opened this. I messaged Shelly and I said, "What in the world is this?" Mary Skinner mailed me this shirt. And I'll have to take a picture of it. So that was the Safety Harbor incident, I guess. I was eating Doritos and I left everybody in the car alone. And apparently y'all had a party without me. So thank you, Mary. That was great. I'll show it again. Thank you, David. How you doing, buddy? All right, well, Thanksgiving's coming, so if you guys don't tune in, we'll go live Monday for sure. Maybe Monday, Wednesday next week. And, if you don't tune in, we hope you have a great Thanksgiving. I hope the tree looking better? The New York tree, what do they call it? New York Rockefeller tree or something? Rockefeller tree, yeah, let's take a look. So that was the big news yesterday. The tree was looking kind of sick. So they're saying the tree is going to actually look a little better. So that's this year's Christmas news is the tree looking better, because apparently it kind of makes it 2020, and they had an owl in the tree. But I had to find some current pictures of our Rockefeller tree because apparently it is looking kind of sickly. So we'll see if that hangs out. All right, cool, y'all. All right, well, yeah, Betty, Reed left you at Wendy's. I left you at Doritos. So what else we got? Yeah, 2020. Yeah, what's up, Dylan? That definitely. And Louis been on my lap the whole time. So good boy, Lou. We'll put him down. So everything's good. So we're actually going to do an interview maybe down the road with our boys from Mac Daddies. We're going to be doing a giveaway tomorrow. Everybody loves free giveaways, so we're going to do another Mac Daddies giveaway tomorrow. Florida, born and raised, like Mike's weather page. Good friends of ours. So look for that tomorrow. Another free giveaway. And then we're going to be doing another generator giveaway soon. And we're going to have the guys from Furman on doing a question and answer. That'll be one of our lives. And we'll be doing a lot of information on that. We got a lot of fans out there. So I think we're going to try to get the guys from Coastal Claims up here too, because this is when people start doing storm. I didn't even know this industry existed, but if you got a claim with an insurance company, you can fight it, and there's companies out there like Coastal Claims that actually fights for you. And if we got anybody that has experienced flooding from Ada across the whole state of Florida, you're probably going through insurance claims right now. So I didn't even know it. Even Phil said he wishes he would have known about this because he had water damage in his house and they kind of cheapened him up. You know, that's what they do. And he wishes that he would have contacted Coastal Claims or you know, an industry like this that I didn't even know existed. So if you're dealing with any sort of water damage and are fighting insurance, this is big part of the weather world, and you know, getting everything you can getting better floors, better cabinets, you know, drywall. I mean, flooding. You know, I've talked to 3 or 4 different people I know that actually had flooding personally from this storm. So there, you know, dozens of homes are flooded in Pinellas that are probably fighting right now with insurance companies. So there's that. All right. Well, we're going to cut it short. So I got a big softball tournament with Emily. So I'll be doing that. And Linda, good point. There you go. I didn't even know that industry existed. So, how's Phil's sister? Shelly, thanks. Phil's sister is doing great. Listen, by the way, he posted some videos. It's pretty bad down there. Let me find him here. Obviously, she evacuated. She's fine. Thanks for asking. However, they do have video here. Let me see if I can pull it up now. So here's some more video shared. He doesn't know the source of it. It's just some of the flooding. He thinks this was filmed by actually a friend of his sister's. But, you know, obviously that's a semi-truck underwater, and there's a road there. So those videos are starting to come in, and you know, we shared the airport video that was on the news, but just it's bad, you know, bad. I mean, there's the airport, crazy, just bad. So, but she's doing fine. Thanks for asking. So, all right, we're out of here. So hey, happy Coneheads, happy Thanksgiving. I got a lot of my Christmas lights up. By the way, I got the roof done, and that's the hardest part, and now it's tinkering. So put those lights up, and enjoy some Christmas cheer, right? So hey, Alexis, what's up from England? Hey, Loretta Reed, how you doing? And there we go. So what's up, Carl? Yeah, we will, buddy. Unfortunately, Julie's got to work, but that's okay. Emily had her worst night of her life pitching last night. It was like a freaking nightmare. You know, when you're a pitcher, she had like 2 walks in 10 innings, maybe. You knew it was coming. So she didn't have a good day. It was bad. But she kept a positive attitude, which I love. If you guys are on Twitter, follow her. She's a very positive girl. I'll pull her up right here. She had a nice picture last night. She typed, it was a very rough game, but we had fun. Win or lose, we're still family, working harder every day. We're going to work out to get stronger for the spring season. Can't wait. Thanks for my coaches. So she had a good attitude. So our goal in the next 2 months is she's going to get stronger, and that's her goal. So I love her spirit. So, all right. You guys rock. And thanks again to Dylan Hubbard for being our first guest on Drunk Donkey TV. And I'll keep posting on the weather. I haven't lost it yet. So have a great Friday, everybody. Cheers. Be good. See you Monday. Bye-bye.